This video is a more advanced training video for the use of Security Gateway and your quarantine reports. If you're seeing this video, you'll probably received one of these personal spam quarantine reports and are interested in some of the more advanced options than what I covered earlier. Specifically, if you notice down the bottom, there's view list of all quarantine messages and manage preferences. So we'll have a look at those now. The first option that you're likely to want to use is the view list of all quarantine messages. Now you might want to look at that if you've received an email that looks like it might be legitimate, but you're not really sure. So in the case of my personal spam quarantine report here, you can see there's one up here. Your Coles MasterCard statement is now available. Now I do have a Coles MasterCard, so it's likely to be right, but sometimes they can be a bit funny, and sometimes this side of things, which is what you're probably looking at, see the secure.coles.com.au, that looks fine, but sometimes it can come through with a funny sending address, particularly things like invoices and so on from MIB and or QuickBooks Online. So what we'll do is we'll click on the view list of all quarantine messages, and then we can get some more information about this actual message. So click that. The screen that comes up is a standard Security Gateway screen, and it will have your details. Now, in my case, it's auto-filled because I've used it. But if this is the first time that you've gone into the Security Gateway console, you won't have a password. So it's simply a matter of clicking the Forgot Password button. And as you can see, your password has been emailed to you. You'll get an option to change it and so on there. If you have issues with that, please contact Morn or myself. We can give you some further assistance, but it's pretty straightforward. So now I'll log in. After you log in, you'll get a screen very similar to the following. And the main thing we're looking at here is this first option here, view quarantine messages addressed to your account. So we'll go into that. Now this first message here, Coles MasterCard is now available. We can click on the view option here. Firstly, I've clicked on the message, click on the view item, and we can see some more information. Okay, I can look at it here and it looks quite legitimate. The reason it's been blocked is because it has a PDF attachment and we haven't actually whitelisted it, because part of our preventative measures, we block funny attachments and things coming in. So I'll just have a quick look down. I can see that, yeah, that looks fine to me. So we'll go out of it, and we have a couple of options. We could release it, which, funnily enough, we'll just release it. Normally what I'd suggest, if you're sure about the email and you don't want this to keep happening, if you go across to here and click whitelist and do whitelist sender. The second option here, whitelist sender's domain, if it is a client or a supplier or something like that that you deal with a lot and you know that you'll be getting a lot of emails from that, you can also do the whitelist sender's domain. So it just depends on the exact circumstances. Be a little careful. Don't whitelist something like Gmail or Hotmail, because there's a lot of spam comes from that. So you would never do that. So in this case, I'm just going to whitelist the sender. Click that, and if you notice, that message is actually now gone. Now the top message here actually looks fairly legit. No reply at Amazon.com, warm holiday fun, but it keeps being blocked, and there's a couple here. I do deal with Amazon. I buy a lot of stuff from them, so it could be possibly true. So we'll go into it again, have a look at view, and I've clicked the button to show the pictures. Now it's pretty obvious from looking at it, this is not from Amazon. So it's, even though it says no reply at Amazon.com, it's actually not even to my proper address. They've used an old address I used years ago. Yeah, so it's somebody trying to spoof. I'm not saying it's actually a virus or anything like that, but it is actually just spam. So we'll just delete that. Now you do have to be careful. blacklisting something like that, because some of them do come up with these legitimate addresses even though it's not used. And if you actually blacklist that, you might find that legitimate email from Amazon.com won't come through. So what we'll do is I'll tag those two and click the delete and delete selected messages. And that's now gone. And yeah, the bottom one, again, I'm pretty sure it's not legitimate, but I do, it could be. So we'll have a look at that too. Okay, now the first thing we look at here is it's an Australia Post thing, but the from address here is Australia Post. But if we look here, it's post at something.geek. It's, that immediately says that's not legitimate. So now when we scroll down here, fees to be paid, well, I don't see that happening in Australia very often. The Australia Post is asking you to pay fees. And what I'll do now is, be very careful doing this. I'm actually going on top of the send my package link, but I haven't clicked the link. If you see down the bottom of the screen, and I can't actually highlight it, but it's actually got a funny link. And .php means it's a script. 100%, this will install ransomware or a virus on your system if you click it. So do not do that. So we'll close that. And in this case, I've never dealt with something.isageek.com. I don't want anything coming from any of those domains, which are probably just used by scammers. So I'm actually just going to blacklist it, and I'm going to blacklist the sender's domain. So I don't want that coming through again. Another extremely useful tool that you'll probably use quite a bit is this option, View My Message Log. Now, it will show a report of all the emails that I've sent and received over a fairly long period. I think we keep it for at least a week. As you can see, I've had 125 pages of emails in that time, sent and received. The true power of it is when we use the search option here, so we can filter by inbound, all the email coming into me, outbound, emails that I've sent. I have some monitoring tools, and there's some other funny email addresses. You can also do things like search. So say, for example, my daughter Leanna had asked me to send some information through to her this morning, and she still hasn't received it. I can go in here and check that it's actually been delivered. So we'll do that now. Just type her address in here, and then we click search. And as you can see, she has indeed had that email delivered to her. Normally, Vaughan or myself might be involved in this, but it is quite a simple tool to use for yourself, and a lot of clients find it very handy. Now, the final option here is My Account, and we go into My Account landing page. Now, the option here for settings, that gives you some power here. Change your password without having to do that. Forgot my password. Be very careful changing these things. If you really know what you're doing, by all means make changes, or you've talked to Vaughan or myself. But if you're not sure, have a chat with us. So we've normally set these quarantine settings up what we think is suitable for most people. But there are options if you wanted your quarantine reports to come through more or less often. You can change it so they don't come through, or they only come through weekly. But be honest, I wouldn't be suggesting that most people play with any of this. Of interest is the whitelist option over here, because that actually shows all of the domains and everything that you're whitelisted. And as you can see here, I've used this for quite a while. I've 93 pages. For most people, there might be a couple of pages, and you might want to have a look in there and see why some emails coming in. You can manually add something that you're whitelisting if you're, somebody's trying to send you email, or somebody's going to be. You can also blacklist email if you're getting stuff that you don't want. Now, keep in mind, this is your personal blacklist and whitelist. It won't affect anybody else in your company, but if you're not careful, it can cause some problems. If, for example, and it has happened, somebody blacklisted gmail.com, asterisks at gmail.com, because they'd received some spam, and for them only, they weren't getting any email from Gmail and wondering why. So just have a bit of care there. And again, if you need some assistance with this, Vaughan or myself are more than happy to help you with it. So look, that covers everything I was looking at running through on this more advanced training video. If you think you need some more training, please contact Vaughan or myself, and we can cover it more. Have a good day.